Welcome. Today we're going to dive into something that's, well, it's one of the most challenging but also most essential parts of being human, navigating that tricky space between our good intentions and the actual impact our actions have on other people. It's a journey, really, from defensiveness to genuine repair. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation where you've hurt someone, and when you tried to explain, I didn't mean to, you were met with, your intention doesn't matter? It can feel so frustrating, can't it? Almost like they're not hearing you. But what if that phrase is actually pointing to a much deeper truth about how trust and accountability really work? That experience often leads us right into what you could call the trap of good intentions. It's a really common cultural default, a sort of autopilot response to conflict that ends up prioritizing protecting ourselves over connecting with the person we've actually hurt. And at the heart of this trap is something we call proof culture. This is any environment where the main goal isn't really to repair the harm that's been done, but to prove that you are fundamentally a good person with good motives. In this mode, we put all our energy into defending our intentions because we honestly believe they should act as a shield from any accountability. Think about it like this. When we use our good intentions as a substitute for the actual work of repair, they stop being a starting point for connection, and instead they become a shield. And what does a shield do? It prevents anything from getting in, including the other person's experience, and with it, the chance for any real alignment. So the big question is, how do we get out of this trap? Well, it requires a pretty fundamental shift in our perspective. It means moving our focus away from what we intended to do and onto the actual, tangible impact of our actions. This right here, this is the turning point for any genuine repair. And here you can see the two mindsets side by side. On the one hand, you have proof culture, which basically insists that my good intentions should cancel out your negative experience. It's all about self-protection. But in contrast, an alignment system, it operates from a totally different principle. Measure me by my impact. It's about taking responsibility and prioritizing connection and safety for the other person. So what this all boils down to is this. We're moving from a state of reactivity, that knee-jerk defense of our ego, to a place of responsibility, where we own the outcome of our actions, no matter what the motive was behind them. Now, this isn't just some vague, nice-sounding idea. There's actually a practical framework for making this shift. It's a clear, repeatable path forward that we call the alignment sequence. So let's walk through it. Okay, so the sequence has 7 steps. First, there's our intention, what we meant to do. Then there's our action, what we actually did. This, of course, creates an impact on the other person. Step 4 is getting feedback, which means really listening to that impact. From there, we can move to repair, which is all about addressing the harm. This then leads to consistency, which is about changed behavior over time. And what's the result of all that? Trust. That's the outcome of this whole consistent, responsible practice. Now, this entire sequence really hinges on one single critical moment. The pivot point is when we stop getting stuck defending step 1, our intention, and we consciously choose to move to step 4, listening to the feedback about our impact, without getting defensive. That's it. That is the moment where everything changes. And let's be super clear about what we mean by repair. It's not just saying, I'm sorry, and then moving on like nothing happened. No, repair is an active practice. It means directly addressing the harm, taking full responsibility for your part, and, this is the most important part, committing to changing the behavior that caused the harm in the first place. This brings us to a much bigger idea. You see, this process isn't just for one-off conflicts. It's really about how we measure the health of our relationships and our leadership as a whole. The true metric isn't what we claim to be, but what others actually experience from us. We call this lived experience evidence, and all that means is the tangible, felt impact your presence has on another human being. It goes way beyond titles or claims or even intentions. It's really the only authentic metric for figuring out if a relationship is truly built on safety and trust. This reframes our entire goal in relationships. The question from proof culture is, do you believe I am good? It's basically a demand for validation. But the question from an alignment system is radically different. It asks, do you feel safe with me? And that's an invitation for truth, centered completely on the other person's reality. So how can we start to measure this in our own lives? Well, we can ask ourselves 5 diagnostic questions. First, do people generally feel safe in my presence? Second, do I give them room to become, or do I try to constrain them? Third, can they say no to me without fear of punishment? Fourth, when I cause harm, is my pattern to repair it? And finally, do I truly listen to understand, or do I just listen so I can correct them? This connects to a common way we misuse the idea of faith. In that proof culture mindset, we often ask people to have faith in our good intentions, even when our behavior is causing real harm. But true faith, real trust, it can't be built by demanding that other people deny their own reality, their own lived experience of us. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, moving from the theory to a pretty clear framework. But knowing something isn't the same as practicing it, right? So let's bring this into your own life with a gentle first step. We're going to use something called an integration prompt, and it's just a simple tool designed to help us move these ideas from being abstract concepts in our heads into what you might call upright living, where we actually embody our values in our daily actions. So I'd like to invite you to take a quiet moment with these two prompts. First, just a reflection. Ask yourself, where in my life have I expected others to just believe that I'm loving without me consistently doing the work to create a safe experience for them? And now, a commitment. Based on that reflection, what is one small action of repair or one moment of honoring someone's boundary that you can practice this week? Because ultimately, this entire shift comes down to a single, really profound idea. Love, trust, safety, these aren't claims to be argued over or beliefs to be demanded. They're realities to be created. They don't ask to be believed, they ask to be experienced.